Hello. If you are caring for aging parents, this video is for you. I'm about 6 weeks away from the 1 year anniversary of my mother's passing. And so I've just been thinking about my season as her caregiver so much. She has been on my mind. She's been on my mind every day, but especially in these last kind of couple weeks, I've really been thinking about the season that I had taking care of her. She lived with my husband and me for over 4 years during the last 4 years of her life. And we were her caregivers. We were able to hire help, but we didn't have a family in town. So we were responsible for, just taking care of her. And I made all the medical decisions and the medicine and the doctor's appointments and all the things that need to happen to take care of a loved one. I look back at that season now and I just marvel because I'm a musician. So I have no nursing skills. I had no caregiving skills. I hadn't taken care of anyone a day in my life like that. So I wasn't sure how I would make it through, but I did. And I look back at that season now and I'm just really, really grateful that I had it. Those were precious, precious moments. And I would do it all over again in a heartbeat. So there were three things that I did that really helped. The first thing that I did was I leaned into my faith. Those years of caring for my mother were filled with prayer time and time in the scriptures. I knew I needed God to get through this season because I was a musician and I had never really taken care of anybody. And so I just knew I'm going to need some help. I'm going to need some divine help in this situation. So one big breakthrough came when I surrendered the circumstances and timing of my mother's passing to God. For so long, I was stressed out about how much time do I have left? What's going to happen when she passes away? How is it going to be? And, I would think about that and I would worry about it just about every single day. And I realized that I was maybe putting pressure on myself to keep my mom alive, or I was trying to control things that I just can't control. So I had to learn, my job is not to be perfect and I can't keep her alive. I literally can't wake her up every morning. But what I can do is to keep her clean, safe, and happy. And I can give her lots of love for the time that we have here. I remember praying and asking God for three things. And I prayed that I would not be alone when she passed away. I prayed that she would not suffer prior to passing away. And I prayed that her transition would be as gentle as possible for the both of us. And God answered every single request. The second thing that I did was I started grief counseling or grief therapy before my mother passed away. I didn't realize I was doing that, but she went into the hospital for the first time, the first of 4 times that she went into hospital when she was with us. And I was overwhelmed. I was sitting in the hospital, just mom and I were sitting in the hospital, and I didn't know she was going to make it out alive. I didn't know what it would look like when she came out of the hospital. I was just really overwhelmed, and I was trying to prepare myself to let her go in the hospital. Now, by the grace of God, she came out of that hospital and she lived almost another 2 years. But I was so overwhelmed with my feelings, I knew I needed to talk to someone. So I started going to counseling. I prayed about it and God sent me to an amazing therapist who had been through the same thing with her father. So for the next couple years, as I was taking care of my mom, I would just go talk to her once a month. And in that space, I had a chance to talk through anxiety. She helped me with that surrender piece. And she gave me a place in which I could really pour out and talk about what I was going through. And she could kind of give me feedback and help me in that process. But that was invaluable. just having that kind of support helped me to kind of pre-grieve, if it makes sense. And so she helped me really prepare to let my mom go. And I don't think I would have been able to do that in the same way, or even just surrender my mom over to God and his timing without that support in therapy. The third thing I did, and this actually came from my grief therapist, was I planned my mother's final arrangements in advance while she was still alive. And when I say I planned everything, it was everything. Figuring out life insurance, figuring out which funeral home. I had to fly my mom from Georgia to Louisiana for her service and burial. And what cemetery are we using? And how much does it cost for the funeral home in Louisiana? And just every detail. I picked a casket for her. I picked a final outfit for her. I made a program. But every single thing that needed to be planned for her final arrangements, I did while she was still alive. Now, my therapist recommended this because she said it's really hard to make all these decisions, especially kind of by yourself when, you're emotional. So having all that planned in advance gave me an opportunity to be still and to not feel the pressure of making major decisions when I, was dealing with losing my mother. So if you're taking care of aging parents, or you foresee yourself taking care of aging parents, I just want to encourage you that you will make it through the season. If I made it through, anybody can do it. If this musician could make it through, you can do it too. But it's such a gift. And looking back, I cherish it so much, and I would do it all over again. Even the hard days, I would do it all over again in a heartbeat. So I just want to encourage you. You're doing an amazing thing, and you will be blessed for taking care of your parents.